On a specified
1,000. Help plane.
Okay. And then I had a missed call.
She gave us so much shit for how much work didn't get done around her house because Ken got drunk after the last podcast on moonshine.
Oh.
Yeah. And he came home and apparently left the door open, left his shoes in the middle of the hallway, sat down in a chair with a beer, spilled it over the place, didn't turn on the television, peeled a banana, and then he threw it against the wall. Whatever else he did. She was not happy.
Yeah,
with him at all.
And after he was hugging us and bit my neck.
What?
And he bit my neck.
Yes, he did do that.
And then he kicked in the stall.
Oh, I was like, why do I remember this? Because I went home.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I thought you
I was
did.
like, I don't remember any of this.
Then he
what the fuck was I?
followed me into the bathroom and kicked the stall in while I was peeing.
That I remember you telling me.
And so now I get a missed call last night from Ken Hendrick, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on, man?
It was Dawn.
It was Dawn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably something else he did that somehow we're still to blame for.
Probably.
You still hung over for that moonshine 2 weeks ago, man.
All right.
I wasn't there.
Yeah, I just went to the doctors and they said he's got moonshine-itis. Thanks, guys. It's irreversible disease.
Oh, shit.
Hey, Nick, it's Dawn. Call me back. It's 2:45. I'm not out at the bar right now.
You should have been like, hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's up? I'm just reading. I'm just laying in bed reading with my book light.
Just reading the Bible.
Reading the Bible.
Thessalonians, verse 2, chapter 6.
Corinthians 4:15.
Well.
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, okay. I'm waiting for you to...
I said we're guys.
I didn't hear you.
We'll start
We're
listening.
going to have to cut that part out.
We're chit-chatting over there.
Right.
All right, welcome to Schnozzcast, episode 47 for Saturday, November 23rd, 2019. How are you? How's your week? How are things going? Did you get that TPS report done? Did you get that spreadsheet turned in? Timesheet? Did you get your timesheet done?
Nope.
Who fills out timesheets?
All our listeners.
Do they?
They don't have jobs.
Doesn't mean they fill out a timesheet.
Nick, if you had to guess, would you say that our listeners are mostly salaried or hourly?
Hourly.
I'm
That's what our
hourly, but
timesheet is.
I don't fill out a timesheet. I hit clock in.
That's a timesheet.
But you're making it sound like they're writing it in.
If you don't have to
Filling
clock
out.
in, at the end, somebody's going to ask you how many hours you worked.
Ooh, why is it dark now?
If you clock in, clock out, that's your timesheet.
I don't know.
Is that an update?
In at this hour, out at this hour.
Is it on yours?
Well, yeah, I realize
That's
that.
it. That's your
Huh?
timesheet.
You're saying like filling it out.
Questions.
Well, some people don't have to clock in, but at the end of the week, if someone wants to know, tell me all the hours you worked this week.
Gotcha.
Dark on yours. Okay, so
What's going on there, Channing Cassie?
this is all dark right here, and it used to be white.
Yeah.
So I said, "Is it an update?" He said, "I don't know." And I said, "Is it dark on yours?" And I just got yelled at. So I don't know why this is upsetting to Cory. I would think he'd be excited about it.
Don't you question
Right.
his business.
I don't know. Why ask me something about technology that I should know and I don't? That upsets me.
Clearly.
I mean,
We don't want Nick upset.
no, it would be Cory.
You're the one
No,
that sounds
it seems
upset
like
right
it's you.
now.
No, I'm upset that he's upset at me.
So you are upset then.
Honestly, he asked me 7 questions in a matter of a second that I couldn't even respond to. What's this? Why is it? How is it? I haven't even had a chance to pull it up yet.
Anyway, back to you, the listener. How are you doing?
How are you now?
How's your week been? Hopefully it was good. Hopefully it's the end of the last week before a pretty short week going into Thanksgiving, where you're working, but you're not really working. Lots of people out taking the week off, going out of town. Maybe you're going out of town. Maybe you'd like something to listen to while you're going out of town.
Again, I think you're talking to the salaried workers.
Those hourly workers don't have cars.
Maybe you're shrink wrapping the boat this weekend. Perhaps you just purchase your plane tickets to go on your Thanksgiving trip to Florida.
Oh, perhaps.
No. No.
Can we come?
We just talked about this. They're punching and filling out their time cards.
They did, but that's done now. And now they're into the weekend. All right, so looking around the table, 4 spokes on the wheel. The first one.
What?
4 spokes on the wheel.
Oh.
The first one, the first spoke, being the most important, the one that keeps us all on the straight and narrow, the one who has her heater going again,
I know, it feels awesome.
is Danielle Finn.
Hello.
And
Oh, hey.
Oh boy, Danielle, you can take a spoke out. It doesn't matter. The pressure is dispersed between the rest.
every time the same. Oh, hey,
Gotta go with tried and proven.
one of these days when you do less than normal Kermit the Frogging on your keyboard, where it's more like a Cory-centric episode, where at the end of it, like Nick and I are going, man, really, Cory really like knocked it. He brought the funny this episode. That's going to be the title. Oh, hey.
Cory did have a fail-safe the other day when we were talking about this. I said, well, I tend to agree with Bob that, you should talk more. And I tried to tell a story last week. Bob interrupted me, so I guess he doesn't want me to talk that much. And I was like, oh, so that's your answer? Well, I tried.
I did try.
Can I just say?
So everybody sit on their hands with their mouths shut when Cory goes to talk.
I think I know better than anyone at this table because I've listened to more episodes than anybody. There hasn't been a story told at this table that hasn't been interrupted by somebody.
Oh, I know that.
There isn't.
I get that.
Okay.
That pie chart. How big would the slice be that says when Joe is here?
Well,
Most of the pie.
98%.
Yeah. But the pie chart would have to only encompass the episodes that Joe was in.
Well, that'd be 100% then.
No, where he was actually here.
Oh, okay. No, but I'm saying, the times he interrupted would be 100%.
100% of the time. Yeah, but none of us have ever told a story that has been interrupted by one of the other ones.
It's true.
Whether it's a yawn, whether it's a interruption.
Yawn's not an interruption.
Jesus.
Oh, it's an interruption. Or you've interrupted me, I've interrupted you. Like, that's just what we do.
Speaking of interruptions, I'd like to welcome some people to the room.
I'm Nick, by the way.
Yeah. Hold on.
I'm glad to be here.
Let's continue around the table.
No, go ahead.
One of the
Nick, how are
spokes
you?
over there
I'm
is
not
a
so
little
bad.
left out.
Right on.
So let's talk about them people in the room. As long as Cory and Danielle have been introduced, that's about it.
That's all that
All right,
matters.
Cory, I guess you've made your point. Interruption has happened. Go.
We have Kaylee Selesky, Sue. She changed her last name, but we'll just go with Sue. She knows who she is. And Jimmy
Do you
Pappas.
know who she is?
Kyle's mom.
Ah.
You've never met my buddy Kyle.
Grabby, how's it going? Grabby.
Grabby.
Are you driving? Are you on the road? Or hopefully you're not. Hopefully you're relaxing with a...
Maker's Mark.
Right.
A nice barrel of Maker's.
gallon and a half of Maker's Mark.
See, the tricky part is getting down to the spigot so close to the ground
Right.
and the barrel.
Some fresh wax on the floor from you just cracking that Jeroboam of Maker's Mark.
Can you imagine how many letters he can send with all that wax?
It's like a period novel.
That's disgusting. It is red wax.
Oh, it is.
We are an explicit podcast, by the way.
Yeah. So we should let the expletive fly.
Right.
All right. Before I get yelled at here, housekeeping. A couple things I wanted to hit. First of all, want to solicit ratings and reviews from all of our listeners. So if you're listening or you're watching on you're watching on Facebook Live, you're watching on YouTube, you're listening on Podbean, or you get us from any other one of the social media platforms for podcasts, please go give us a rating and review. If you could do it, that'd be nice to start collecting, just so we have some feedback and know how we're doing. And that's one of the ways that a lot of platforms, sort of prioritize or put you in the rankings for, are you part of the top 20, top 100, top 1,000? however big the number has to be to include us.
How high does it go?
I was gonna say, hopefully it goes to like 50,000.
Yeah.
But if you could do that, that'd be great. And if you're a regular listener to us, like anybody who's on Podbean right now, anybody who happens to be listening to us on iTunes, do us a favor and just tell one of your friends or family members who you think would enjoy it, who may not have ever heard us before, but you think this might be something that might interest them. Just turn one other person on to us, and that'd be huge. It's like, just tell a friend, and they'll tell a friend, and they'll tell two friends, and they'll tell two friends, and that's how that'll go.
In theory.
In theory, yeah. So help us out. We really appreciate it. And to return the favor, we're always working on making the podcast better. One of the things that we've been working on this week is trying to line up some new theme music for the podcast. So we've got almost 50 episodes now with using, 90-year-old blues music in the public domain because we don't have to worry about copyrights. But we've got a friend or two who happen to know how to play some musical instruments who might be willing to partner up with us and write us some music to put at the front and the end of the podcast. So keep an eye out for that. I think we want to try to make that change by episode 50.
We actually, for the front, we have something, correct?
We don't really have anything yet. We have one snippet of music, but
it hasn't been purchased yet.
Right. I want to make sure that he's covered.
Sure, of course.
In the same way that Olivia Dobry, who's a great artist who created the logo for us for the Schnozzcast, want to make sure that she always gets credit for the work that she did. But at the same time, I'm not asking for anybody to give it to us for free. I didn't ask Olivia, and I'm not asking anybody else for the music. So we got to work that out. I've generally had the sweet spot is about 55 seconds right in the front, and another 50 or so, 45 seconds in the back, because I don't know whether it's 1920s blues music, but every song that I've picked, and it can't be a coincidence because I've done 47 of them by now. By the time you get to the 55-second mark, they've sung two verses, and then they've gone into the chorus, and the chorus just ends right at that point, and it's like clockwork. I don't have to change anything. I literally have all of the, for that particular track, like volume down, right at the same spot, and I never move it. And it always hits it right at that same spot in the song. It's bizarre how it happens.
Well, it makes it nice and easy.
It does. But it would be really nice to have one predictable piece of music that we use to intro the podcast that we don't ever have to change. It's less work that I have to do, and who knows how much longer I can continue to find free, old-timey blues music. So that's one of the things that's in the works. So that's all for housekeeping for the week. Question. Yes, sir.
If I was a member of the audience, which I think we've proved that sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not.
Sometimes while you're actually part of the cast.
Where in these ratings that you speak of, where could I go for that? I mean, is there a specific spot? Is it like I type in Schnozzcast on Google and I can Google rate you? Like, where would people go?
Well,
what are our concerns?
I can tell you from iTunes, because that's the podcast app on an iPhone. That's how I listen to podcasts every week.
Okay.
When you subscribe to the Schnozzcast and you pull up the episode and you start to play it, if you just swipe down and keep going down toward the bottom of the page, there's an option for you to rate a podcast on a star rating 1 to 5, and also to give a review.
And I'm being honest, because this is Greek to me, because I don't use iTunes.
Sure.
And I know there's different avenues people go down to find us.
Yeah.
And there's probably more than we know, just because of that code you said that you can type in. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's third-party websites that probably you can do things in, but we're not really concerned about that. I think we're concerned more or less about the major ones that we use.
Yeah, the ones that we know about, the ones where we know we are. And does anybody else use the Podbean app or like Google Play Music or anything where or you've seen something about being able to rate or review?
I was going to appeal to Cory on that to see if you knew Podbean how to rate.
Podbean I'd have to look into, because I use iTunes listening to the podcast. So.
Okay, I mean I use, and it's got to be pretty user friendly, and I'll take a look at it too, because I do use Podbean when I do listen. when the other podcasts that I listen to are through Alexa, which actually might be something interesting to find out if you could ask Alexa to play the Schnozzcast on Google Play Music, if that would work.
Oh, I'm sure it would.
It should.
I'm sure it would. You could ask her to play it on Spotify.
Yeah, I mean, any one of us, or if you just said, because I know, like with Drew and Mike, some days it's different. I'll say, play the Drew and Mike podcast or play the Drew and Mike show. They'll say, getting the latest episode of Drew and Mike show from TuneIn, or then some days it'll say from iHeartRadio,
right.
So I'd be interested to see if you said, play the Schnozzcast, if it would say getting it from Spotify or something, or if it would be like, I don't know what that fucking word is,
Well, I know we're on Spotify, so I think the algorithm for Alexa it probably just does a quick meta search in its database for the first hit, and when we publish our episodes, we start on Podbean, so Podbean's always the first place where it's available.
Okay.
And then it pushes it out to everywhere from there, and they don't all hit at the same time. So I would imagine Drew and Mike's podcast is probably, when you do the search, it's what's the most recent available.
Right.
Copy of that, and on what platform does it sit? So, we're not on iHeartRadio, we're not on TuneIn, but we are on Spotify. So
Okay.
I would imagine if you have a Spotify account, that's the one we pull.
So I'm wondering if, no, because, I can tell Alexa to play a song, but I know a lot of times it comes from Amazon Music.
It's going to hit Amazon Music first.
So
I specify.
I wonder if you would have to say Spotify, or if there's like a tool in the Alexa app, or like a skill, like you have to add the Spotify skill for it to.
You do.
You do have to do that. Okay. So if somebody wanted to do that and not have to worry about going into their phone, let's say they have Spotify and they pay for Spotify, they don't, and they have an Amazon Echo of some capacity, and that's how they want to listen to their podcast. Like me, I get in the shower and I listen to mine. So if it doesn't work, go into your Amazon Alexa app. If you don't have it, it automatically makes your phone another Alexa that you can press and talk to and command different things in your house. So it's great to look into that if you don't have it already. But there's a part of it that says skills. Just go in there and type in Spotify. Once you enable the Spotify skill, that should probably solve that problem. And then you should be, in theory, be able to, while you're getting ready or in your car or wherever, if you have the Amazon Echo for your car, say, play the Schnozzcast. And it'll say, getting the latest from the Schnozzcast, and
Right.
play it. But honestly, I haven't tried it, which is crazy.
I have all those skills available on mine. They're all enabled. I have TuneIn enabled the same way.
Have you tried with the Schnozzcast?
I've never, no, because it's probably because, no, it's, I'm just used to doing it through the podcast app on the iPhone, and I have it keeps track of, like, when you subscribe to a podcast like ours, we have 50 episodes, it'll keep track of which ones you've played and which ones you haven't, and where you left off and the ones that you haven't finished. So for me,
do you skip around?
Yeah.
So you don't finish an episode, you skip to a different one?
When I listen to our podcast, I'm listening to it for the fidelity.
No, sure. No, I'm just talking about ones that you like. Like I'm trying to get into the mindset of someone that would be listening to us.
Yeah, I'll skip around from, I think today I listened to Bill Burr's podcast. There was like a Neil deGrasse Tyson podcast I listened to. So I just skip around between those.
But I'm saying like to be a little bit clearer. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson's podcast. That's something you always listen to. Are you skipping around from his Tuesday show to his Wednesday show to his Thursday, or are you just finishing a show of his through?
There's a handful that I try to keep up with, and so generally it's like the most recent one that's come out. But there are a couple, like Rogan's podcast, where I'm so fucking far behind
that you just say play the latest or something, or you go to
or
the latest
I'll
one.
pick one that looks interesting because I've got like 50 to choose from that I haven't listened to.
So the way it works with Alexa, which I don't know if you know, but I listen to it every day. So it will sometimes, there'll be a heavy sports podcast on Drew and Mike, and I'll just be like,
God forbid.
yeah, I'm just like, skip ahead 10 minutes.
Alexa, change your channel.
Skip ahead 10 minutes, until it gets out of that wormhole. But Or if it's, I'm so far behind
Does
that it's...
Alexa recognize your commands while you're crying?
Yes.
Alexa, turn this off.
But, I forget just because it doesn't necessarily always say the date. So sometimes it'll say, playing Drew and Mike episode from November 4th. And I'll be like, ooh, I'm really behind. And it'll be like Thanksgiving or something, and I'll want to hear the Thanksgiving podcast. So I'll say play the latest.
Yeah.
But you can also say, so basically, like, when I say play the Drew and Mike show, it comes on from where I left off now, immediately, unless I otherwise specify. And it just continues, like, every day. So if I say stop, if I come back to it 5 days later, it's going to go right back to that spot, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's what the podcast app does on the iPhone. So you just get used to doing it that way, and you're like, well, I don't want to lose all the progress that it's saved and what I've played and where I've left off.
But sometimes I will say, play the next episode or play the latest. I'm just like too far behind. Play the latest episode.
Hopefully this is interesting for someone because it's kind of like a how to listen to podcasts thing for like if you only listen to the Schnozzcast because you're related to somebody at this table or you're a friend, but you always thought like, well, I'd like to try to branch out and see what else is out there. Like this is generally how you do it. But I know for me, when I've changed phones, then I've had it happen where one or more of the podcasts haven't retained that play history. So, so it's like
you're lost.
Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson's podcast. You have 94 unplayed episodes, and I'm like, fuck.
Right.
Now I know in that one, like I was all caught up, but it's still annoying to me that I'll always see that large number.
But that's what's great about having a certain login for each one of those venues to listen to a podcast, because I would assume if you like logged in to Podbean, it would go based off of your login info and not off your phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and my phone should do the same thing because I'm logging into the podcast app with my Apple ID. So it should all be the same way. I guess my point is some audio platforms do a much better job than others.
Sure.
And keeping track of that shit. I know for me, I watch Hulu a lot. I've got shows that I watch on Hulu. The TV's sort of up there.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what was going on, so I was trying to get involved.
But it does a horrible job at keeping track of like what you've watched. And so if I'm all caught up with the show, doesn't matter what it is. Let's say it's fucking Shameless, and I'm all caught up with the show, and then the season ends, and so then they start going to reruns. As soon as they play a rerun, even though it's a new airing of the rerun that I've already watched, all of a sudden it resets the count for everything, and they're like, you have 75 unplayed episodes of Shameless, and I'm like, no, I don't. No, I don't. And I don't want to have to. Now it's always at the top of my list, and always like remind like you have these unplayed. I'm like, no, I don't. And so now I don't know when there's a new episode because who keeps track anymore of what day episodes come out?
Right.
I just look for there's one new unplayed episode as my cue to be like, oh, there's a new episode there. But now I can't get it, and there's no way for me to go like select all and mark as played. So it just sucks. It really pisses me off.
To piggytail off what you said about about people that don't know podcasts, I mean, you're absolutely right, because there may be folks, and I know this to be true, that the only time they hear us or see us is when there's a Facebook Live. Yeah. Or the only time they hear us or see us is when there's a Podbean.
Right.
And they're just listening to the live, maybe they're not listening to or they're not on a podcast app, so I think that's good. But also, oh my God, that was a bug. The only...
You're about to flip out?
The shadow, I saw it go across the table out of my peripheral vision. But the only other question I didn't want to forget was what Danielle and Cory think about the 50th episode. What should happen?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because it's coming up strong.
It is. It's 3 weeks.
I mean, we got to figure something out. It's a big,
that's
big
why
milestone.
we asked you.
I mean, obviously, we're going to high kick, and we're going to yell 50.
We're going to kick, and we're going to stretch.
We're going to high kick.
And
not just a kick, a high kick.
Because it's episode 50.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to Sally O'Malley this bitch.
We're 50 episodes old.
Danielle, what if you could do anything, what would you do?
I have no idea.
Bob, I will not be there. I have other plans.
Do you understand?
Full-on petting zoo in the basement.
Dun, 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 dun,
Whose
dun,
basement
dun,
is
dun,
this?
dun.
Is this at Nick's house?
Right here.
No, not here. Why don't we do it in Danielle's house?
Little mini ponies.
I have a petting zoo.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
She already has a petting zoo.
Your Berber is used to animal excrement already. I mean, my house wouldn't be used to
Maybe
that kind
with
of
some
wear and
untrained
tear.
animals, there's like dog shit everywhere, but I don't have that problem. All I have is the hair.
You guys can only see all the dog shit back here.
Jesus Christ. I have the same problem.
That's why I got the
and that is hair.
pet owner's edition Berber. It's a little bit of an extra cost, but stuff comes right up.
No, it's just shit color.
And if it doesn't,
Oh, it doesn't matter.
if it doesn't, you just cut the carpet right out.
Oh, for God's sake. Cory, what would you do?
I don't know. That's a very good question.
Should we revisit this question at the end of the episode? Give it some thought.
I think you're giving us
Maybe,
a
why
little
don't we
bit too
pose
much
it?
credit.
Let's pose it to the Podbean listeners then. What should we do for the 50th episode? Let us know. Is there anybody in the room?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I will say though too
Wow,
that
there's no one there.
it does. So we'll be at 50 under 1 year of the podcast.
Yeah,
'Cause
which
we
is
was it January. This past January.
we've done a couple. Probably in the first 2 or 3 months. I think there was a time where we did more than one in a week. I think there were a couple of times where we did like one on a Thursday, and then we did another one like on Tuesday. When we were all super excited, and we're trying to figure it out. I'm like, let's do it again.
But there were at least a couple weeks that we didn't do one.
But we backfilled.
Yeah, but we didn't publish.
Well, that's the other thing. Is
I was gonna say there's
two
a lot of
episodes
that weren't
never
published.
got published. So we're at 47, but we really only. Should we leave that for the?
It's like the whole leap year birthday. Just don't get me because we're on 47 now
We are for sure.
because we haven't released those.
And we're never going to. But we do have Wally's house episode.
Yeah,
in
we
the
sound
can.
so young in these.
Should we decide, if we're gonna miss one, we do have one in the can that we can release.
True.
So, anybody who's out there on Podbean, give us your thoughts. 50th episode, big milestone. What do you think we should do? And if you're listening to the podcast, let us know at schnozzcast@gmail.com.
And how many interesting podcasts? I mean, interesting. Have a 50th episode right around the same time as they have a 50-year-old. I mean, not 52, not 49, not 57.
All celebrating 250s in the same year.
250s in 1 year. That's amazing to me. But
Is it?
The other point, so not to go down a tangent, but to get back to what we were talking about. The other avenues of rating us. Cory, if they needed to rate us on YouTube, how would they go about that? Because I could tell you I don't know.
Oh, that's super easy, right?
Just go to YouTube, type in Schnozzcast, and go ahead and like and subscribe our page.
It's like
so it's just
right
a like
below the video.
So, but it's not like they do a great job.
It's like
it's just a like, subscribe.
Well, you can put comments in each video.
It's the same thing like Facebook. Like there's a thumbs up or a thumbs down that you could do, and then below that you can go add a comment. But you have to log in. I think you have to be a registered YouTube subscriber.
Is there a teetering
Correct.
hand if people aren't really sure?
That's when they write a.
You guys suck.
Here's why I can't make up my mind. On the one hand, lots of helpful information about booze. On the other hand, not so funny.
Listen here, White Nate 4000.
White Nate.
Wow. Does that mean there's 3,999 other white Nates?
I'm just
Probably.
assuming.
Kept on with 1.
I'm just trying.
Username taken.
Damn it.
2. Username taken.
I'm just
hold on. There can't be more than 2.
Assuming the
3.
Taken? Come on.
How many months? 4.
4 months later.
5.
Gonna get real crazy here.
Wait, 6 months?
Skip ahead to
Sure.
7.
6. No, but that just seems like a troll's name, online to me.
It just made me think of the episode of The Office when Andy posts all of his videos, and it's Nelly reading the comments about him sucking, playing his guitar.
All right, it's that time, Danielle.
Okay.
All right, if anybody out on Podbean there, we're about to do a shot. If you'd like to join us.
Or on
Yeah, there's-
Facebook Live, we apologize.
there was
not just
a couple
limiting
there.
to Podbean.
Yeah, sorry about that, Facebook Live.
All the Facebook Live people are starting to crack open their fifths.
Oh, we can't.
Son of
We weren't invited.
Knew I shouldn't have came in this room.
Or do you want to do the peanut butter cup?
What kind of tease is that, Bob? Why would you start to pour a
I
shot?
didn't start to pour. Your call, Cory.
What's that? I'm sorry, what?
Or do you want to do the peanut butter cup?
Oh, well, you already got that open. That's
What the hell's a peanut butter cup?
Oh, the
It's the shit you don't drink.
stuff that Mom got from Kentucky.
Oh.
Okay.
I remember now.
I don't know what's called peanut butter cup.
Oh, that was the night I was really sleepy.
I didn't. Just being honest.
All right.
Listen, I've had enough of you today.
Yeah, I think we had it at what? It was like 85 degrees in the bottle when we had it.
Yes.
Oh, the peanut butter cup?
It was really
It was
warm.
brand new.
If
Yeah.
they were peanut butter cups, they would have been melted by that point.
All right, everybody
Feel
on
tasty.
Facebook Live and Podbean, got your shot?
If you don't, pause this now. And we're back.
And we're back. I'm so glad you got your shot. Ooh, it smells delicious. What is that? Caramel vodka?
Danielle's about to show us once again how she drinks a half of a centimeter out of.
Listen, some people have to drive home.
That is less than what's
Danielle,
in all of our shot glasses.
I know.
You could have five.
Chug it.
You could have 5 of those and still drive
Chug
home.
it.
She literally like pours a droplet, like if you had like a tincture, and just took out a little tiny
Woo!
droplet
A tincture.
of schnapps and put it on your tongue. Like, oh wow, that tastes great. Like if you're at some kind of tasting
Yeah,
ceremony and you're like,
tincture of opium.
listen, I got to be here all day to taste this. I'm not doing shots.
Yeah. Come on.
Wow, look at her call my bluff.
Only took 3
Look at
drops.
that.
I was gonna say that bottle might last till episode 50.
Because Bob, if you guys could see these, they're actually not even a full shot. They're not 1.5 ounces. They're
Right.
probably 1. And Bob came down with another one that she nippled off of like a couple weeks ago.
It's still in here.
And he's like,
It's 50 milliliters.
well, we're not in England, so I don't know what that means.
That's all it tells me. I'm sorry. That's all you get.
You might-
Reading on an audio podcast is never a good
Yeah,
idea.
you might as well have called them thermometers because that doesn't
Thermometers.
mean anything to me. So
That brings back memories, sir.
the thermometers?
My grandma always used to call them thermometers.
Really?
Wow.
No, she did not.
Maybe it was their grandmama leaders. I don't know.
That's 50. That's Llama Ding Dongs.
That's funny because Cory's family used to call them busha leaders.
That's
Oh.
right.
How do you say grandpa in Polish?
Judge.
Judge?
Yeah.
I should remember that.
And so today I am the judge and jury.
Oh, wow.
He never used that joke?
No.
If I had, if
apparently
there was
just
a wall
wasn't
right
as
here I could slam my
sharp-witted
head
as
against,
you.
that's what
No,
I'd
if
be
I'm
doing
your
right now.
grandpa, I am the judge and jury.
He didn't have an accent, that's
Oh,
for sure.
damn, it would have been so much cooler if he did. Just constantly making pierogies,
That's just-
disciplining children very harshly because he's from the old country.
Get taken off the belt. No!
Is there a pierogi maker you could buy? I know it's blasphemy.
Yeah, I was
Corey,
going to say,
hold on, Corey.
wait,
Corey.
what are we?
Whoa, buddy.
I was like,
Whoa.
what's a pierogi
I know it's
maker?
blasphemy.
Okay, no, we're not even having this conversation. Why would you...
But
Corey,
you,
put your
you
belt
understand that people
No.
are generally lazy.
But
And
you
that
realize
someone
how
makes
Corey.
probably
Not in the
easy it
pierogi
is
maker.
to not have
Right,
to use a
that's-
maker?
Oh, the reason I ask is because there was some sort of Facebook ad that I saw the last couple of days for a dumpling maker. And I'm like, you're almost at pierogi right there. So,
No, you're not.
but I'll bet that people are like, oh, I've just got myself a pierogi. What is he doing?
Just making sure there's no ghosts
I was
back
going to say,
here. Okay.
checking for ghosts.
All right. It's in between bones. I like to inspect the house because this is my home after all. Look, he goes like this. He stretched, gave me the big side eye.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Really, don't talk
I'm waiting
crap
for
about me.
for the yowl.
what? What?
It's coming.
For people that are not in Facebook land, we're talking about Bob's Siberian Husky that is almost human in his communication skills.
Come on, speak. Speak.
No, it's an audio podcast.
Come on now. You can do it.
So moving right along.
Moving right along.
What's the next order of business there, Mr. Phone?
Next order of business. As far as I'm aware, I just got a text from Joe. Just got off work. Got any room on the podcast for me?
Yeah, I saw that. I just decided to not say anything.
Well, you would think that he knows we're doing it. He knows what time it is.
Right.
Why is he not showing up?
Scotty Moore.
He could just show up here. I always assume that he's going to. In fact, that's when I'm like, should I lock the door or should I not lock the door?
I mean, I guess it was nice of him to ask, but
Yeah.
like you said, why
Well,
not just...
given that I'm not going to be texting on a podcast, Joe, if you're listening, you're more than welcome to stop by.
Yeah, but Joe's kind of like the one night stand. You know, it's like
How does that go, Nick?
Leaves his panties on my lamp.
well, he kind of he's like if he were the hot girl one night stand that like you don't hear from.
He is the hot
Oh
girl.
no!
If
Yeah,
you
this
don't,
is-
if he
but
was.
just listen.
He's not, though.
Hear me out.
He's not, though.
Hear me out.
All right.
Oh, pierogi makers and Joe is a hot one-night stand. This is... Where are we headed?
Listen to me. You only hear from him when it's
That'll
beneficial.
happen to you guys.
When it's beneficial for Joe.
Yeah.
And he knew he screwed up by saying he was supposed to be here a couple times and never showed up. So
A
now
couple
he's like,
times.
"Hey, you guys mind if I show up? Like, what are you doing tonight?" You know, like it's kind of his
Hey, girl.
way, right? So, what's going on? Like,
Sup?
pretends nothing happened in the past, and now it's a new clean slate. You know, kind of. He's feeling out the water. That's what's going on.
Feeling out the water.
Yeah, dipping his toes in, seeing if it's cold.
It's cold.
Speaking of cold, it's time for another episode of Danielle's Word Box.
We're not done with this yet.
Ooh.
No! We have one left.
You understand what the word reoccurring means?
Yeah, we're gonna.
There's
we're gonna-
only one left, so somebody's got to write some more words.
That is true.
Now, apparently,
That's
it can't
so
be
hard.
me. So
Yeah, anybody but Nick.
We'll type them out.
every day while I'm signing things at work, all I think of is just I have a Danielle on my shoulder, just going, "Your penmanship sucks."
Who'd like to explain to the listeners what
Not
we're
great.
about to do here?
Corey,
I know
can.
you don't.
Corey can.
No, I don't like explaining
Corey.
things.
Corey, tell the listeners what we've got in store for them right now.
So Danielle has to pick a word out of the fireball bucket, which there's only one word left. But
I
Patient.
I want to look at it
They are
for a few
all-
minutes.
No, part of the game is you trying to decipher what it is.
On Danielle's word box.
Danielle made the mistake of going on a little long with the word Smirnoff one day,
Oh,
and
In front of
When
these
the word was
guys.
actually smeared off.
it was a very
Yes.
breezy day that day.
so then we decided that every SCH word that she says is very wispy and windy.
Yeah.
So
Right, but one of the side benefits that we did not anticipate was
Like a
that because Nick had
vat
written
of
out
Lincoln logs falling over.
like Nick had written out all the words in the box in his own penmanship, which is not
the greatest.
the easiest to read.
Wow, I'm glad everyone's on board with it now. I was concerned that it would just be one person.
No, I said it's a great thing.
That it's not the greatest.
Bob said last time, "No, you can read that. That's fine. I know exactly what it is."
I can
Now-
read it.
Now apparently everyone's on board.
I can read it. Danielle has a little bit of trouble.
Danielle has what they call the trouble.
All right, so there you go.
Danielle also teaches children how to handwrite.
Does she though?
I do. Oops.
Whoop. So you should be used to seeing children's writing.
Yeah. Doesn't mean I know what they're writing.
All right, Danielle's word is
Schnooze?
What? No. Oh.
It's not.
all right. Oh, don't help her. Don't help her.
Danielle.
Are you sure?
What?
Are you sure it's Schnooze?
No.
Danielle.
What?
What's the name of this podcast?
Schnoz.
There you go.
I just envision that episode of Family Guy where the two silhouettes of Peter are together talking to each other.
Snooze. Schnooze.
Right.
That's from Sesame Street.
News. Schnooze.
That's from Sesame
Right.
Street.
Pa. Ot. Pa.
Exactly.
Right. That's what I envision.
That, you know what? I couldn't have picked a better. I don't know how it turned out that was the last one, but that was fantastic. That was the best
What
one.
was
yeah.
no? I think the last one was the best one. What was that?
Schizophrenic.
Yeah, but she called it. What'd she call it? Like
Oh, it's the name of the episode that I just published.
what'd she call it?
Skizmore.
That's what it looked like.
Hold on. Skizmore? I think a little pee came out that day for me because I just can't imagine saying Skizmore ever or hearing it ever in my life.
It's even funnier listening to it now.
I can't imagine because did you know it was wrong as it came out?
Yes. I was just trying to guess.
Skizmore? Oh God, that's not a real thing. Hold on. Skizmore.
There was a question mark at the end of that. Was clearly like, help me? This can't be it.
I feel like that would have been like one of Robin Williams' friends
Well, plus, it's
Mork and Mindy.
it's like a 14-letter word. There's no way it's Skizmore.
After a couple nanus, he would say, "This is my friend Skizmore."
In fact, I'd have to go back and listen to it again. And just for the listeners, the word was actually schizophrenic. I'd have to go back and listen to it again, but I'm pretty sure that was after you'd already spelled the word.
I think I did. Oh, you went into like daddy teaching mode too. You're like,
I did.
and sound it out.
I did. I apologize.
That's okay.
Double English
I
major.
have kids. And that.
Yeah, the kids
All right.
thing is not enough of an excuse because
No?
there are a lot of horrible parents that don't
Oh,
do
sure.
things like that.
There's a lot of good parents, though. Maybe
Oh,
they're
of
not
course.
great spellers, but
Yeah.
they're good parents.
They spelled
They
just
try.
fine.
No, Skizmore. That sounds right.
Yeah,
Yeah, good job,
you're
Johnny.
doing just fine, honey. If you want a Skizmore, we'll get you.
Whatever the hell that is.
I feel like that should be on a shirt with just the podcast logo and just Skizmore.
Will I go Skizmork?
Well, I felt even dumber after because I'm a psychology major and I
my
couldn't
God.
even know what the hell. Didn't
Right.
even look like schizophrenic.
But that made for podcast gold.
Oh,
It did.
yeah.
Comedy gold, Danielle.
You're welcome.
You know, I think
And that's look. We've all taken the proverbial bullet in the name
Oh,
of comedy
man.
gold,
here's
and
a
we appreciate it.
here's a question.
Yeah.
So when we come up with a whole bunch of other words to put, should I add Skizmore?
Of course.
What's the word, Danielle? Schizophrenic? No, it's Skizmore.
Skizmore. Can't you see that?
God, plain as day.
But had I not had horrible handwriting, you wouldn't have that part of the podcast.
Oh, Joe's bitching out now. Well, I'll be at Ray's afterwards.
Okay, Eeyore, we'll see you there.
Guess I'll just have to try and find my tail.
You see who entered?
Deborah Horvath?
And?
Scotty Moore?
No, your
I can't-
your brother.
I can't say, oh, welcome both. They probably immediately left. What is this?
The most recent one at the top.
Oh, at the top's the most reading. Skizmore.
Which was a great. It's honestly, it worked out because that's a great. If you're gonna have a name for an episode, it should really be something that describes something that happened in the episode, but that would make the listener want to like listen to the episode and figure out what does that word mean? Like, where did that come from? To listen to and get to the part where we did Danielle's Word Box.
I just make up shit.
Like, I'm sure one of the episodes' title was Poop Knife.
No, it's only been the last like 7 or 8 in a row that I've actually given names to.
Oh, okay. Well, I like it.
Episode 40, something like that. So how's things going in the Podbean room?
Good. We get people coming in and out of Podbean, and Facebook Live's doing pretty well.
Nick, grab me one of the 6-pack. Thank you, sir.
I'm gonna drink them lime ones down there. Or coconut, or whatever the hell they are.
Coconut.
Easy Skizmore.
No, I think those are all gone. I think they are.
Yeah.
Negative.
Pour them in the grass.
They killed all the grass. All right. So one of the other things that I knew we wanted to hit tonight was a special segment that we have only done a couple of times. In fact, we've really only done once. The last time we did it, we didn't follow through on it because everybody sort of deferred for the next time we were together, which it turns out to be today. So that segment is Nick's existential question of the week.
Which we never finished.
Well, we finished it once.
Yeah, we finished one episode, but we asked a question, and we didn't have time to answer, and then we
Right.
said, well, let's let this marinate, which I'm relatively certain nobody did.
Yeah,
And,
I did. I actually thought about it last night.
Okay. So we're starting with Danielle.
That's fine. I told you I knew my answer
Damn it!
as soon as you said it.
All right, well, let's, so this is a segment where we started off, and Nick had posed a question to Cory. Well, what would Cory's version of heaven be? And that was the first and only time we've sort of done it through to completion. But the last time that we got together and it came up, you asked the question, what?
Yeah, so, which also, by the way, what episode, in case people are curious about Cory's version of heaven? Because I think that was pretty entertaining.
Oh, I can tell you in 1 second here.
Already a liar.
46.
43 or 44.
Oh no, because 46 was the last one.
It might have been 44.
I think it was 44.
Yeah, 44.
I'm more of a fan of 45 myself, but no, yeah. The last question we asked was the second part of the existential question. Was, a little bit of a short backstory of this was, with my friends we always do the what would you rather kind of questions. So this is how we came up with this. The Cory's version of heaven I think was pretty entertaining. At least it was for me. But this question, this question last time was, if you could go back to any age and click a reset button with what you know now, what age would it be and why?
And I recall asking a couple of clarifying questions that you did get the answers to. So you would go back to that age, but you'd have all your current knowledge.
Correct.
And you wouldn't be going back just to do one thing and then come back to the present day. You'd be going back and then living your life from that point forward.
Correct.
But with bringing the knowledge from your current age, from the present, back with you. I don't think I asked any other questions. I think that was it.
I think that was it, yeah.
Okay.
But since you gave it the most thought.
I just want to know what the ground rules were.
Correct.
So if you're on Facebook Live or if you're on Podbean or if you're listening now, give it some thought and think about, for you, what moment would you like to go back and make a change in your life, or make a decision that sends you off on a different branch or a different path.
Yeah, and to give you a quick example, because I know Bob had asked a couple questions like, well, what do you mean? Was there something, not necessarily that you're not proud of your life or anything like that, but something that you're like, you know what, I had a choice between starting at Ford Motor Company or, I was going to go down south to live with my aunt in Nashville, and I chose to work at Ford, and I always wondered what would happen if I had gone down south. You know what I mean? Something like that, to where you have somewhat of an explanation. Not like, oh, everything's been horrible in my life, and this is what I would want to do, but maybe an option you never explored. So what would be your answer, Bob?
Me? There was a couple things that came to mind, but I started thinking about, well, okay, am I doing this to benefit myself, or am I doing it, like, is it a purely self-motivated decision for me to make?
Doesn't have to be.
Right, it doesn't have to be, but I'm like, I'd rather that it wasn't. So the one that I ended up going with was, I would go back to, there was a time, it wasn't a particular time, I couldn't pinpoint the day, but it was a year where Cecilia was born in 99, and so it was probably around some 2000, 2001, somewhere in that area, where now I'm a parent, and I remember apologizing to my dad, because I was the kind of kid who was always in one ear out the other, like, well, the old man doesn't know. Mm-hmm. Like, I know better than he does. What's he know? What's he ever done? And, when you start going through, and you buy your own house, and you get a job, and you buy a car, and you just start being an adult and going through adult things, and you get married and have children, you find out that, at least I did, that my dad was right about all of those things. And I was an idiot and didn't listen. And so there was one point in which, I'm sure it wasn't like a birthday party or a get-together or something like that, where I remember I'm sure he was having a drink, and maybe we were having a smoke or whatever, but we were just talking, and I remember just apologizing to him and going, yeah, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Like, I'm really sorry for not listening all those years. So I'd probably go back to that moment, because I would be able to take the knowledge now for how much time I had to spend with him, and just be able to enjoy that time, because you just don't know. I had, I was newly married with a child and another one on the way, and you kind of move out. You move away from the house, and you have your own family, and now they're your most important thing, and your parents kind of take a back seat then to what you have. So he did. He and my mom both did, and so I would probably go back to that point, and knowing what I know now, spend much more time with him, and do a lot more things with him, knowing what I know now. Did I play by the rules?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. That's.
Yeah, I came up with. There were a couple things I thought of, but that was the one where I'm like, oh, that's probably the one I would want the most.
Very noble.
Yeah. And not about nobility, but it just seemed like all the other things compared to that one seemed very selfish.
Yeah, it kind of failed in comparison.
Yeah.
Danielle.
I wouldn't choose to go back to a certain time, because I just feel like the good and bad things that have happened have only changed who I am and made me who I am. So there's no point in changing.
You must like
any
who
of
you
the
are.
past. I think so.
Okay.
But yeah,
That's a good answer.
I've thought about it before, and it just things happened
yeah.
a certain way, and it set me down a certain path, and
I
kinda
feel the
is what
same
it
way.
is.
Like, everything happens for a reason.
right.
And
As cliche as that is.
no, it's not cliche.
Butterfly
Right.
effect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because that's the thing, too.
You are the sum of your experiences.
Right. Like I've thought about before, well, what if it had changed, a certain event had gone a different way, my life would be totally different than what it is now.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And you could I know I could pinpoint probably a half dozen times where, my life would be radically different
oh,
than now.
absolutely.
If
Mine
things
too.
had gone the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't go.
So she refused.
Nope.
Well, no, that's an
That
option.
was a choice.
Yeah.
That's an option.
Yeah.
Um,
Shut up.
well, sometimes I'm kind of
Sean Connery. That's your option.
an empath when it comes to certain things, and in that sense, I mean, it's easy for me to read people and take in other people's emotions, and I think I was assuming Danielle's voice in that last part when I said I was
You were
so,
an empath.
I was so close to understanding her
Right.
that I started to take on some of the characteristics, so I apologize. But yeah,
That's flattering.
So for mine, it would be kind of with a clause, because I kind of think the same parallel. Absolutely 100%. Butterfly effect all the way. If you didn't drop a Kleenex in a certain manner, then you wouldn't have bumped into somebody that wouldn't have caused some sort of chain reaction that might have changed your life.
Right.
You know.